For Pacifica Radio, I'm Scott Baba. Russian President Vladimir Putin met U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff in Moscow today for renewed talks aimed at ending the war in Ukraine, even as a Russian general was killed in a car bombing and strikes on Kyiv killed at least 12 people. The high-stakes meeting marks Witkoff's fourth visit since the Trump administration began its push for a peace deal. President Trump has claimed progress, though U.S. officials suggest the plan could involve recognizing Russian control over seized Ukrainian territory, including Crimea. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who cut short a diplomatic trip after the overnight assault, has rejected ceding land. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said both sides have been shown a path to peace, but warned talks may collapse if progress stalls. Meanwhile, Russia intensified its area assault during a U.S.-brokered ceasefire period. Indian officials say that Indian and Pakistani soldiers briefly exchanged fire along their highly militarized frontier in Kashmir. The exchange comes as tensions soar between the nuclear-armed rivals following a deadly attack on tourists earlier this week. India has described the massacre in which gunmen killed 26 people, most of them Indian, as a terror attack, and blamed the Pakistan-linked Resistance Front for the assault, which was the region's worst in 25 years. Pakistan denied any connection to the attack. It was claimed by a previously unknown militant group calling itself the Kashmir Resistance. With the region on edge, 3 Indian Army officials said that Pakistani soldiers fired at an Indian position in Kashmir late Thursday. The officials spoke on condition of anonymity in keeping with departmental policy. They said Indian soldiers retaliated. Heads of state and royalty will begin converging on Rome for Pope Francis's funeral in the Vatican's St. Peter's Square, but the group of poor people who will meet his casket in a small crosstown basilica are more in keeping with Francis's humble persona and disdain for pomp. U.S. President Donald Trump and Argentinian President Javier Milei are among the leaders arriving today. That's the last day the Argentine Pope will lie in state in St. Peter's Basilica before his coffin is sealed in preparation for his funeral. More than 128,000 mourners have waited in line to bid farewell to Francis, who died Monday. John Beaver reports.
We're approaching the final few hours of people being able to pay tribute to Pope Francis in person. He will lie in state until 7 o'clock tonight, local time, in St. Peter's Basilica. An hour after that, his coffin will be sealed ahead of the funeral tomorrow. The Vatican has said they expect 50 heads of state and 10 reigning monarchs to be among the guests at the funeral. Estimates vary wildly about the number of members of the public who are likely to attend, but some saying it could be as many as 250,000. Security here is being stepped up ahead of tomorrow. There's a huge number of police on the streets. There are even snipers on rooftops and police helicopters often flying overhead as the eyes of the world focus on the Vatican. John Beaver, Rome.
A federal judge blocked President Donald Trump's executive order yesterday that threatened to cut off funding to schools with diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI programs. The ruling issued by U.S. District Judge Lonja McCafferty found the order overly vague, a threat to free speech, and beyond the president's authority. The decision stemmed from lawsuits led by the ACLU and the National Education Association, arguing the directive would cause widespread harm to students and educators. President Donald Trump ordered the Justice Department to investigate Act Blue, a major fundraising platform for Democrats, over allegations of illegal donations. In a memorandum signed before departing for a high-dollar fundraiser, Trump cited concerns over straw donations and possible foreign contributions, directing Attorney General Pam Bondi to, quote, investigate allegations regarding the unlawful use of online fundraising platforms to make straw or dummy contributions or foreign contributions to political candidates and committees, and to take all appropriate actions to enforce the law. The directive references a recent GOP-led report accusing Act Blue of failing to prevent fraudulent contributions. Act Blue and House Democrats have dismissed the report as politically motivated. The move comes as Trump faces scrutiny over fundraising by MAGA Inc., a pro-Trump super PAC also accused of receiving illicit donations. According to the New York Times, this is the third time in as many weeks where Trump has used government power to target his political enemies. I'm Scott Baba for Pacifica Radio.